Call the meeting to order. Mr. Dominic, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please silence.
My apologies for the late start. I was down with the President Judge. When they call, you got to answer.
Yeah. That's theft.
All right, so call the meeting to order. And I trust everybody's had an opportunity to review the minutes, and so we can waive the reading, and I'll entertain a vote to approve the minutes if that's the mood of the board.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second on the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Anybody from the public wish to address the board on agenda items? Okay, so we'll move. First item on the agenda is motion 22-3059 to approve all the current payables for the Community Correction Center and the prison. I trust everybody's had an opportunity to review those. They were sent out ahead of time. And if you have, then I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The motion is approved. We'll go to Controller DeBillio next for your monthly report.
Yes, Your Honor. Controller's report for the prison inmate and canteen accounts through September of 2022. The Controller's office reviewed the prison inmate and canteen account reconciliations, which were prepared by the prison business office for the month of September 2022, and found no discrepancies between the reconciliations and the bank statements. The balance in the inmate account was $470,704.70 as of September 30th, 2022. The balance in the canteen checking account was $288,368.83 as of September 30th. In addition, as of September 30th, the canteen account owned one certificate of deposit valued at $15,000, which will mature December 3rd, 2022, and two Pennsylvania Local Government Investment Trust accounts for 120-day terms, investment terms valued at $600,000 and $132,371.08, which both will mature January 26th of 2023 for a grand total of all accounts of $1,035,751.15. During the month of September 2022, a total of $82,801.10 was paid from the canteen account for expenses which are for the benefit, welfare, and education of county inmates, and the itemized details of those expenses are attached. And that concludes my report.
Any questions for the controller? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve his report.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The controller's report is approved. Thank you, Mr. DeBillio. We'll go next to the Community Corrections report. Norm?
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the house arrest report for the month of September. Adult house arrest had 148 participants. Juvenile had 17. Programs revenues, house arrest adult at $48,754.95. Juvenile had $3,770 for a total of $52,524.95. Year-to-date totals for both is $524,858.80. Programs expenses was $61,300.87. Programs completions were 38. Programs violations were 8. Outstanding warrants, we have 1 for work release and 2 for house arrest. Budget report overall, overtime's at 56%, expenses at 69%, and revenues at 80%. That's the end of my report.
Any questions for Norm? Are we still just utilizing Northampton County? Or,
Yes, well, they had to give up some more beds, so there's more people. That's why the juvenile house arrest is up a little bit. They're putting them on the bracelet because they're lacking beds because they're filling up too.
okay.
I think we were allowed 4. They knocked it
Yeah,
down.
originally we were allowed 8. And they
Yeah.
cut that down to 4.
Right.
That's all.
Yeah, and they
they'll
brought it
accept.
down.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the Community Corrections Center report. Do I have a second
A second.
on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The Community Corrections Center report is approved. Thanks, Norm.
Have a good day.
Thank you, you too. Next item on the agenda is the Warden's report. Warden Betty?
Good afternoon, Board. The average daily population for September was 763 inmates, 584 were county inmates. For the month, we averaged 664 adult males, 6 juvenile males, and 93 adult females. The average daily population of U.S. Marshal detainees was 179. Our overtime and out-of-county boarding reports are attached. And the staffing update, currently we have 165 full-time officers on shift, 5 out on workers' comp, 3 on continuous FMLA, 57 with intermittent FMLA, 4 on administrative leave, and 3 full-time vacancies for a total of 180 full-time officers. We had a new class, or we have a new class consisting of 5 full-time and 4 part-time officers that began last Wednesday, October the 5th, and they're counted in the numbers that I just mentioned. The budget, as of September 30th, revenue was at 74%, expenses were at 76%. Extraordinary occurrence reports, there were 9 since the last prison board meeting. On 9/4, the booking office received a call from adult probation department informing us they had a non-compliant male with them who had just been discharged from a local hospital due to an overdose. And the individual being committed entered the facility screaming and shouting and being non-compliant in every manner possible. And for the safety of everyone on the scene, staff placed him in the emergency restraint chair. The newly committed male who had just been discharged from that hospital was observed to be going in and out of consciousness and was unable to answer medically related questions being asked of him. And as a result, the shift commander felt it necessary to have him transported back to the hospital for reassessment and further evaluation. On 9/7, a newly committed male became irate with staff because of his continued incarceration. This individual was awaiting a preliminary hearing with a magistrate and felt that he had been kidnapped and that the incident escalated when he attempted to physically confront staff. Staff were able to gain control of him, and a decision was made to place him in the ERC for everyone's safety. On 9/14, at approximately 3:30 p.m., a newly committed male became upset when he was taken out of his cell so that a medical intake could be conducted with him. The individual began to yell and scream and was non-compliant with efforts to calm him down. The situation escalated to the point where he attempted to become physical with staff. Officers were able to gain control of him, and a safety decision was made to place him in the ERC until he calmed down. On the same day, at 8 p.m., the individual I just referenced had been removed from the ERC, and he was placed in a camera cell for observational purposes. And about 10 minutes after being removed from the ERC, We had observed that he was violently hitting his head and his knees against his cell door. Staff had to place him in the ERC for his own safety for a second time. On 9/15 at 3:10 a.m., staff attempted to remove the individual mentioned in the previous two statements from the ERC, and upon freeing his one hand, the individual began to be physically aggressive towards staff, and he had to be resecured in the ERC. Officers called the on-duty nurse to have him physically checked. On 9/15 at 1:30, staff attempted once again to remove this individual from the previous three incidents from the ERC. Once again, this individual became physically aggressive with staff who were attempting to allow him to be removed from the ERC, and the individual in question continued to refuse to comply with efforts to safely remove him from the ERC. The on-duty nurse contacted the prison psychiatrist and updated him on what had been occurring with this individual, and the psychiatrist authorized the use of 4-point humane restraints. Officers then removed the individual from the ERC and placed him in 4-point humane restraints on the bed in his cell. On 9/20, a fight broke out between 3 inmates. OC spray had to be used to break up the altercation. While attempting to cuff up the individuals involved in the altercation, one of them threw an object at the face of one of our officers. The object turned out to be a pen that had a razor attached to it. Fortunately, the officer wasn't harmed, but one of the combatants had been cut during the altercation that the staff had broken up. On 9/21, an altercation occurred between two men that ended with one throwing hot liquid on the other. The liquid was hot enough that it caused obvious burns. The injured individual was immediately treated by the on-duty physician's assistant and the on-duty nurse. What's most disturbing about this one is this whole incident occurred because the individual anticipated being released and wasn't released, and he was upset, so he threw boiling hot liquid on another inmate. Just letting everybody know sometimes what we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. On 9/22, 2 males were involved in a physical altercation. OC spray was successfully deployed to break up the fight. PREA, there was one PREA investigation completed in the month of September. It was an allegation of staff on inmate sexual misconduct, and it was deemed unfounded. And this concludes my report.
Thank you, Warden. What's the COVID situation like over there now?
I don't believe we have anybody, I'm just digging in my brain. I haven't had any reports of anyone with COVID. I do have one person who has a fever that I'm aware of. That's it. So that's a good thing. As far as staff goes, I don't have any reports of anybody out with COVID either.
Okay, all right. Do you think we're back to the point where, as you know, pre-COVID, we used to meet quarterly at the prison? Do you think we're approaching the time where we can resume those?
Yes, I believe so, most definitely. Right now, we're in the process of having discussions with Outreach about reopening or restarting our programming. We've already, we have Jubilee Ministries in there now doing some, but not a full amount of religious programming. So we're reopening at this point. We're in that kind of stage where it's like, let's just move forward and get things up and running.
Okay, anybody else have any questions?
Warden, how many, I'm looking at 2 separate seniority lists, and I think the one is from 10-4 and the other one's from 10-14. But do you have 6 full-time correctional officer vacancies? Oh. Hello. The one that I'm looking at, it says 6, but then the other one I'm looking at, it says 3.
3.
So there's 3 currently,
Yes,
correction? And then you have 2 vacancies for call-in correctional officer. What does that mean?
I don't really know how they make that determination. I think that's meant as a part-time correctional officer. And I know that we have a total of 13 part-time slots, and I believe we only have two filled, plus we have a class with 4 part-timers right now. So 6
And the
of those
latest
slots.
one, the one I printed out today, had 2 of the call-ins and then 7 part-times, which would be 9. But you're saying you think you have 13 part-time vacancies?
No, not 13 vacancies, only because I know of 2 individuals that previously, they're in there, and then 4, 6, so there should be 7.
Including the call-in?
Yes,
Okay, so 7 part-time, and then, I'm sorry, you said 3 full-time.
3 full-time, yes.
And you're looking, in terms of your budget, you were looking to add 5 more full-time positions, is that accurate?
Initially, I had asked for 7.
Okay, the only memo I have says 5. What do you mean initially?
When I had submitted my budget in late July, I was looking for 7 full-time additional officers.
And now you're looking still for 5?
I'm looking for as many as I can get.
But why would you look for 5 more if there's 3 that aren't even filled yet?
Because of the positions that would be needed as a result of the continued video court that's occurring at the facility. It's tying up officers on the 7 to 3 shift and the 3 to 11 shift.
Okay.
And we're opening up more and more because our population's up to pre-pandemic numbers.
Are there visits now at the prison?
Yes.
Okay, but there's still no AA, NA, or group meetings being held?
No.
Is there a reason why?
No. Right now, like I was just saying that we're opening up right now.
Well, I feel like we have this conversation like every meeting, and it's not really happening. And I think it's important, and I know some people who attend AA feel that NA is separate and different. So I think we need to have NA, AA, and group if possible. Do you anticipate a timeline and when you're going to start those meetings again?
I'm open to it. And the reason I say it like that is because I don't do AA and I don't have anybody on staff that I'm aware of that would be doing the AA. So we're open to anyone who's involved with Alcoholics Anonymous to reaching out to us. Same thing with NA.
Well, that would normally fall under the deputy warden of treatment, who you're not looking to rehire. So who are you going to, you need to assign somebody to get it done.
I'll address it.
And then when we restructured the prison, we went from a 1 deputy warden to a 3 deputy warden system. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay, obviously. And it was deputy warden of security, treatment, and operations. And I think you indicated that you operated under that type of system, and you were a deputy warden of treatment. Was that at Lackawanna or somebody else? Somewhere else.
Lackawanna.
At Lackawanna. And the purpose was to kind of delineate specific duties to each warden, deputy warden, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then under the deputy warden of treatment, actually, can I ask you, do you know, I don't know if you're going to know this offhand, but every time I've ever asked you a question offhand like this, you usually know the answer. Out of the 763 inmates, what percentage would have mental health issues?
Mental health issues? Consistently speaking, we would have in excess of 50% of our inmate population having a loosely defined mental health issue.
Would that include those with co-occurring situations?
Absolutely,
with
yes.
drug and alcohol and mental health? Could it be upwards of 60? Could it be more than 50%?
Yes.
Could you possibly get that number for the board? I don't know how you keep track over there.
In the past, with the help of formerly what was EOTC, now Outreach, they used to occasionally do a survey of the inmate population. And every time we did that, it seemed as though about 40% were taking psychosomatic type of medications. Psychosomatic's not the word, but it was serious, for more serious mental health issues. We never really delved real deeply into just how many people had co-occurring disorders because it was a very high number. I'm guessing over 85% of our population have a drug issue, drug/alcohol issue, and a good percentage of them have a co-occurring mental health disorder as well.
I'd like the board to consider, I don't know how we would do it, but maybe consider trying to get some sort of breakdown just to see what type of population we're dealing over there.
Well, when we talk about mental health, are we talking about diagnosed?
Well, I would think that anyone's that are receiving treatment through WellPath, like,
Right.
or receiving counseling.
Those would be the easy ones, but I mean,
They would be the easy ones, but there are ones that have a diagnosis that aren't compliant with medication, and in the past, they didn't necessarily get counted. If you really want to do it fairly, it would be, as Commissioner Dominic seems to be implying here, I think a real good survey of our inmate population, because there's going to be a significant number of people with a mental health diagnosis in their past who aren't taking medication of their own volition.
I don't know how the board feels, but I think I'd like to see those with diagnoses, with or without the taking of medication, those with diagnoses on medication, and then the co-occurring, the drug and alcohol, with the mental health. If it's not, I don't know how we go about doing that, but if we can consider that, Judge?
Well, I don't see any problem with considering it. I think sounds to me like it'll be a coordination between WellPath and maybe outreach
Right, and of course, our staff as
and
well.
the staff, too.
Can you look into that and get back, let us know?
Yeah, I can't see it being real quick, just so everyone is aware.
Right.
It's not like I'll have it
take
for
time.
next month's meeting, or I'll do it as quickly as I can.
Okay, possibly, maybe Barb Durkins or Marianne Colbert, their offices may be able to assist that. So, under the Deputy Warden of Treatment, we initially established 2 substance abuse mental health specialists, a substance abuse mental health supervisor, and then we added a licensed clinician. Is that accurate?
Yes, it is.
So there would be 5 positions total. And the licensed clinician has resigned.
Yes,
The one substance abuse mental health specialist has resigned.
yes,
The deputy warden of treatment has been terminated.
yes,
So that leaves one person in a substance abuse mental health specialist position, and then we have our substance abuse mental health supervisor. So 5 down to 2. Was that accurate?
I believe it was 4 down to 2, yes.
Well, including the warden, the deputy
Yes,
warden.
Yes,
I'm sorry. So we went from, including the deputy warden, 5 positions, now we have 2, and you're seeking to eliminate that one substance abuse mental health specialist position as well, correct? In your budget?
I submitted for the 2 of them that are now vacant, where we had very little interest in the past for them to be.
You have deputy warden and treatment, eliminate licensed mental health clinician, eliminate substance abuse mental health specialist, eliminate substance abuse mental health specialist. So that means you're eliminating 4 out of the 5 positions, which would leave only the one position remaining in terms of mental health, which would be the substance abuse mental health supervisor. Is that accurate?
Yeah, yes, that is, yes.
And it's my understanding that as of September, they have like a program and they do one-on-one counseling. Is that your understanding?
Yes.
And it's my understanding around 250 inmates as of September had signed up for that program.
I honestly don't know.
Okay. So you want to add 5 correctional officers and you want to give all of the lieutenants a $1,500 raise. You want to add a new maintenance position, and you want to give the deputy warden of security a raise, but you want to eliminate 4 out of 5 mental health positions.
Yes.
When we have mental health illness is on the rise.
Yes, I have alternative plans. First
And what are they?
foremost, security comes first in a correctional facility. That's number 1. We need correctional officers. We need to have the lieutenants paid more than the sergeants get paid.
They do.
We need our deputy warden of security to get paid more than the captain of security, which he's not. Those 3 things are at play.
Well, the sergeants get paid $63,423, and the lieutenants get paid $66,066. So they are paid $2,643.
They
more.
also don't get to work every holiday that's scheduled. They don't have the opportunity for overtime. They carry the burden of the entire facility on their shoulders during their shift because they're the shift commander and everything falls to them. The level of responsibility between a sergeant and a lieutenant is vast, and
I'm sorry.
there's no reason that there's such a narrow gap there, in my opinion.
And I have to respectfully disagree. I believe that security is absolutely of, paramount importance, both just generally from a security perspective, but also eliminating drugs from coming inside the prison. And we've taken many actions to prevent that. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. But mental health, people going in with mental health disorders or co-occurring disorders with substance abuse, whether it be drugs, alcohol, and a mental health, if they don't get treatment on the inside, when they come out, and we have a plethora of wonderful treatment courts. We have drug court, DUI court, vet court, mental health court. But if they're not getting any treatment on the inside, then they're coming out either in the same condition or worse condition than when they went in, and we put them on these treatment courts. But in my opinion, humbly, we're setting them up to fail because they're not getting any treatment on the inside. So what is your plan are you seeking the last substance abuse mental health specialist? Are you going to eventually eliminate that position as well?
My plan was, and I've already held preliminary discussions with Outreach to ask them to assist us with mental health counselors in the evening, providing programming and services. Once I had that in place, my plan was to come to the prison board to ask permission to utilize canteen funds to pay for those individuals, whatever it might cost, however there might be, to replace what we were looking to cut in the budget.
You think that adequately substitutes the type of treatment, the one-on-one counseling that the inmates were getting, and then their ability to connect with the medical department in the event that they see something?
I was asking for one-on-one counseling and group counseling from Outreach.
Why would you want to eliminate? I mean, we developed, I think it was a year ago, we developed this mental health program, which I believe is, our county prison is probably one of the very first, if not only, who have done this and taken it by the reins. And especially before and after COVID, mental health is a huge issue. We still have an opioid epidemic. So why would you want to get rid of all these positions in-house?
I need 7 full-time correctional officers. 5, I could deal with 5. If the commissioners, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, if you want to give that money to keep those positions, I'd be thrilled with it.
How many
I was just
maintenance
trying to
people do you
work it
have?
Within a certain, how many what?
Maintenance people.
4 counting the lieutenant.
So you want to add another maintenance person, but you want to,
Absolutely.
and you think maintenance is more important?
Fully understaffed.
And
Yes, it's a 25-year-old facility. It's showing its age. We had a ceiling collapse in DC unit due to heavy rains a month ago. Other things are going to happen. I'm asking in the budget for a significant amount in the capital budget as well on an annual basis because of things like that. The fact that we're running a facility 24/7, 365 days for a quarter of a century, it's starting to show its age, and we need to bump it up with maintenance to be more aggressive in the preventative maintenance.
I mean, I understand that you may need more COs or you think you need another maintenance position. I don't agree with the raises to the lieutenants. I don't agree with that the deputy warden of security needs a raise because what you're doing is you're eliminating. There are other positions I'm not going to talk about because they have nothing to do with here, but you're eliminating, very important in my mind, mental health, substance abuse positions to help people with these issues, to avoid recidivism, to make sure that when they leave that they're set up and on ground, like on solid ground to, have a chance at completing these programs and becoming,
Right.
Back into civilization so you're eliminating their positions, and at their expense, that's what you're using all that money to create this other stuff.
I was looking to replace them with assistance from Outreach. I believe that it could be done more efficiently and effectively with the assistance of Outreach. So I wasn't looking to eliminate the kind of programming that the inmate population may have been getting. And I say it like that because, frankly, I don't know just how effective what we were doing. My assessment was we weren't doing a great job, and I think we could do a better job with the assistance of Outreach.
And I want to correct myself. I gave you the wrong number. So lieutenants are making $70,267, and sergeants are making $66,066, which is a difference of $4,201. That's a much significant difference than that's almost double than what I had said before. What I was quoting before was the difference between sergeants of $66,066 lost at arbitration. So have you taken any steps to contact the union to see if whether or not we should eliminate the sergeant positions and have COs instead? Because that would thereby, we have, I think, do you know offhand how many sergeants? 4, 6, 7?
13 sergeants.
So we have 13 sergeants that we're paying an extra $2,643, which comes out to almost $35,000 a year, and their title, in title only, is the only difference between them and a CO. Don't you think it's worth talking to the union and trying to do something with regard to that issue? I mean, why have sergeants if they can't do anything?
They can do things, they do things.
Do they
are-
write up individuals' incident reports?
They do.
Well, from what I was told from the union, that you cannot, one union member cannot write up another union member when they're in the same union.
That's not what happens, Commissioner.
Well, then what does
Sergeants
that?
are leaders. The 13 of them are leaders. They're frontline supervisors.
But they
They
can't-
do an effective job.
But there's a separate union for first-level supervisors.
That's out of my control, Commissioner.
Have you had any conversations with the union?
Positions like sergeant positions, again, the Board of Commissioners has the ability to eliminate and create positions. I'll deal with whatever we have.
So I don't know if you answered this question. So if we did agree to everything that you wanted was to eliminate the deputy warden of treatment and then the 3 positions, the 2 substance abuse mental health specialists and the clinician position, that would leave 1 person left, which would be a substance abuse mental health supervisor. Do you intend on eliminating that as well?
No.
But yet you haven't put in here a raise for her to run a program, which as of last month had 250 inmates signed up. I just don't feel like you're really putting a lot of importance into the mental health and drug addiction and alcoholism area of the prison when you just said a very large population of your inmates consist of it.
I just told you, Commissioner, that I was looking to EOTC, now known as Outreach, to help us out with
Well,
that.
don't you think you should have a plan in place before you seek to eliminate the entire behavioral health department that we created?
Yeah, I do. And
Well,
I'm
can you
putting it into
can
play
you-
as best
can you-
I can.
Okay,
Things are
well-
not in my control. I don't have control of everything. I don't have control of how many staff members we have, how many COs we have, how many maintenance officers we have, how many behavioral health people we do or don't have. I don't have
You're
control
saying
of
that you're
those.
looking into a plan, and I'm saying, and you agreed, that we should have a plan before you go and eliminate the entire behavioral health program, which we developed.
That was
So-
a recommendation, Commissioner, to the Board of Commissioners. Eliminate it, don't eliminate it. It's my
I'm saying, though,
recommendation.
if you have an alternate plan, we don't have a crystal ball. Can you put it in writing and send it to us?
Sure.
How can we decide whether or not to eliminate very important positions when you don't have a backup plan in writing given to us for these inmates?
I could certainly do that, Commissioner.
Okay. And then with regard to the 4, you said you have 4 maintenance positions there, and you need a 5th. Are they working efficiently? Like why is another maintenance position at $64,749 needed?
Well, first of all, that salary that you just cited, it's a union position, and that's the salary. I have nothing to do with what salary they get paid. Secondly, most institutions our size have double the maintenance staff that we have. Again, if we don't get
We're also
an
operating at an $8
additional
million
position, we'll deal with it.
deficit. I mean, the county prison is is 25%, I think, of our budget, and we have an $8 million deficit. So, I mean, it's time to work more efficiently. Finally, with regard to the rules and regulations that we had established, well, I didn't establish them, but the board did, I think at the beginning of the year, talked about hiring and firing being brought to the board. But you have also, I don't know, what is that banging? You have also brought, and we discussed it during executive session, obviously, so I'm not going to say anything that's going to violate any of our employees' privacy rights. But you always brought those issues to us and asked for our opinion. Correct?
I'm not sure I'm following.
Like lately, like the last few meetings during executive session, you have said this person needs to be suspended or this person needs this type of training, or you brought discipline before the board. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. But recently, there has been a suspension or maybe 2 where you didn't bring them before the board. So is there a reason why you pick and choose as to which ones you make the board aware of?
I honestly have no idea what you're talking about, Commissioner.
So
I
there's
do-
been no suspensions at the prison that you have not brought before the board?
I do know that what the board passed, and you can double check it in February of this year, said when it came to discipline, to inform the board. When it came to hiring and firing, to get the permission of the board.
Well, I think the board, we need to clarify that because it's setting precedent, especially for union workers who, if they have a preservation clause in their contracts, state that, benefits that similarly situated members have, even if it's not called for in the agreement, can be established through past practice. So we have to be careful what we're doing here. Before, we never brought disciplinary issues or anything before the board. Now we're bringing everything, but not everything, because now I'm hearing of things that are happening outside of the board's purview. The other thing is we made a decision at either the last meeting or the meeting before that to terminate an individual based upon the recommendation of our HR director and our labor attorney, and then you turned around and decided, no, I'm sorry, our HR and our labor council just made the recommendation to terminate. You brought to the board and asked the board to reduce it down to a suspension, which calls into question why use our labor council and our HR if you're not going to follow their lead. And I'm not
inaccurate.
finished. And then you gave him a 30-day suspension, but then because he was going to lose his health insurance, you wanted to reduce it down to 14 days or have him suspended, come back to work so he can get his medical, and then suspend him again. I mean, this is very all
Inaccurate.
non-conformant.
It's very inaccurate, Commissioner.
It's very,
If you want to have this discussion, I would suggest executive session. If you want to have it openly, fine. I'll be very open. You're not going to like what I have to say.
you can
So
say
we
whatever you
go down
want.
that road
I
if you
have
want.
nothing to do with the
I'm not
prison.
going to get into talking about
My
personnel
point is that
matters.
we
Hey,
need to establish a more clear and concise manner in which these matters are handled. And if our HR and our labor council are going
Commissioner.
to be utilized, then we have to
Commissioner.
follow the recommendation of them.
Commissioner, you've
Yes.
made your point. Okay,
Thank you.
let's move on. Any other questions for the warden? Okay, if not, then I'll entertain a motion to approve his report.
Motion. Second.
On the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The warden's report is adopted. Thank you, warden. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to take a brief executive session now. We have to talk about a legal matter. So I'll ask everybody to step outside. We'll call you back in.